Hello and welcome to the Tent of Ideas at the All in the Mind Festival online in 2020. My name's Leigh Johnstone, I'm the Artistic Director, and these discussions are all about delving a bit deeper into some of the themes and topics being presented at the festival this year, as well as getting to know some of the people that are involved. Now in this discussion I'm going to be talking to Leon C. Leon is a folk rock singer, songwriter, and has performed at All in the Mind for the last 3 years. So let's bring Leon in now and we shall start our conversation. Hello, Leon, are you there? Is he there? Yes, he is. There he is. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Your microphone's... There he is.
Now.
There we go.
Great.
Welcome, Leon.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to the Tent of Ideas, the virtual Tent of Ideas at All in the Mind 2020. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to time the discussion. I'm going to set a reminder on my phone just so everyone that I talk to gets the full 30 minutes, and also helps keep us on track, I think, with the conversation. So I'll start the timer now for 30 minutes.
Awesome.
I said in the intro that you've performed at All in the Mind for the last 4 years. Do you want to just tell us, tell people that might not know about you and your style of music and your songwriting and performing, just a little bit about you in general?
Yeah, okay. I'm a 19-year-old, just not child nowadays. I've been playing music for 3 years, coming on 4, and I sort of do folk rock, acoustic-y stuff, some low beats and more upbeat things, with an emphasis on poetic lyrics and writing about things that are not just writing for the sake of writing, but writing because there's a meaning in things writing.
How long have you been performing and writing? How long have you been writing songs?
Yeah, so writing is sort of the amount I give. I say I've been writing 3 to 4 years,
Right.
3 years coming on 4. But I've actually been playing guitar for 13 now, so quite a long time on the guitar.
I think I'm interested in talking about both the process of writing songs, because I suppose in some ways it's similar to maybe writing, like I would write maybe a one-man show about my lived experience or whatever. I suppose there's similarities there, but then there's one thing writing it and a second thing performing it. So that'd be interesting to talk about. And obviously this is All in the Mind is obviously a mental health arts festival. We're also talking about the idea of songwriting, performing and music for well-being and mental health. So that's quite interesting to me as well. And I was thinking about, in preparation for the conversation, the idea of music as a way to help people. But I think music is quite, it's a universally loved art form, and I think it's more popular than many art forms. I think music is in so many people's lives, and that's interesting to me. I think as a theatre maker, I'm always trying to find ways to put theatre into people's lives as possible. But actually, music, would you agree? I think it's more widely available.
It's more accessible than everything else, I feel. A song is 3 minutes to 4 minutes. If you have Pink Floyd, 10 minutes. And it's also on your phone, and you can get an entire story or an entire concept, and littered with interesting musical things that confuse us in a nice way. So I think music is just really accessible compared to something like theatre, which is incredible in its own way, but of course it's more expensive and longer, and it takes a bit more dedication to listen to. But I suppose once you consume something like theatre, I think you hit another level that music doesn't quite get you. I think music, theatre is like the gigs. Once you've been to a gig and you've listened to an hour's set of an artist that you like, and you're flying like a kite on the train back from London at 12 p.m. It's the same as when I go to the pantomime at Christmas and get a full, 2-hour performance of a thing, and the art buzz is there. So I think they can be consumed in very different ways, but music is more popular because of its just succinctness as a substance when it's broken down to just a song.
And what do you think, from your experience of being within that sector, industry, art form, what are your experiences of people's the power of music on people? Do you have any sort of, be from being at gigs or you performing at gigs, do you see or do you notice that power of music in people?
I like an artist called Kevin Morby, and I've actually had a fair few conversations with him on Instagram, and he's been a little bit of like a guidance for it all, and he says that very wisely all the time, that the performance is all of music is a way to make a connection, and I think people consume art for the sake of the connection, and I think the thing that music does, well, I mean, music, people say there's good and bad music, right? But I don't think that's true, because there's music that connects with people and there's music that doesn't connect with people. And people will consume a song, and the effect it can have on one person is different to the effect on another. I think a prime example is like at All in the Mind Festival last year, there was a lovely lady who was crying her eyes out to one of my songs, and another person just chilling and chatting to someone else. And like the connection was there, they both enjoyed it, but in really different ways. So I think the power of music is really just dependent on, there isn't a power of music, there is many different ways it can affect someone and pull them. So I think, I don't think it's a massive power, it's just an ability to make a connection and make someone think deeper than usual.
It's interesting that, I mean, actually I was thinking about my own work as well, and the fact that you think, and do you ever have that moment when you're performing one of your songs and you are very clear about the meaning of that lyric or what that song is supposed to have said, but actually you get the completely totally opposite from someone, and that's what I love about the arts anyway, is that level of interpretation, and people can take away from what you create something completely different, and that's absolutely fine. And it's just nice to have that engagement, isn't it, with audiences?
Absolutely. I remember listening to Father and Son by Cat Stevens and thinking it was a really nice, happy song about a father and son. And then I listened to it about a year later and I was like, this isn't happy. This is really sad.
And do you think that it's also about where you are at your stage in your life and where you are in your head at that moment? Do you think that, I suppose, if I this is my awful music taste now, but when I was a teenager, I'd listen to Peter Cetera. I don't know if you know Peter Cetera, Glory of Love. He was in Chicago, all that. And now listen, that's because it was emotional love ballads, and I was very, all the girls didn't want me, and I was all very mopey and sad. But now I listen to it and I get a completely different experience from it, and it's just that's into my teenage musical taste there.
Yeah, well, I remember well realizing that sort of thing when I started sixth form, and I was much the same, and I was very mopey, and I was listening to Passenger all the time, and I was like, oh, I'm just Passenger, I'm just the guy that all the sad things about it. And then about a year into college, and I'd finally settled with some friends, and it just clicked. And then I started listening to Kevin Morby's really weird indie folk rock stuff, and like it's kind of chanty sometimes and calm and not very like emotionally out there. So I think it definitely is. And also I think life experience plays into your understanding of a song. So I know for sure that when I listened to Father and Son for the first time, I was naive about what father and son relationships can be like, because again, that was early in my sixth form days, and my dad and I had a pretty fine relationship, and it continued. But of course, after a couple of lows that were a bit deeper than they'd been before, you then sort of click and go, oh, the father-son relationship isn't always, crispy and golden.
And also I'm thinking about also the relationship, the physical relationship we have with music, because a lot of the time, especially for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I listen to music more alone,
Mm.
with headphones on, before I go to bed, or running, or whatever I'm doing. It's quite an intimate experience. There's that way of viewing music, of hearing music, and engaging with music. But then there's also the collective of a gig, isn't there? So it's interesting how there's those sort of different levels of engagement with it that you might not get with some other art forms. Theatre, I believe, is quite, it is quite a collective and shared experience, whereas music can be both.
Yeah, yeah. I think music. The wonderful thing about music gigs is that assuming people are there for a common reason,
Mm.
they agree and like the common reason. It adds a level of like groupthink, if you know what I mean. Like everyone's on the same wavelength. Everyone's enjoying the same thing, and everyone in that room can relate to each other because they're totally encompassed by the loud music and the people around them, and the thing that's being given to them. And I think that's sort of the wonderful bit about the groups. And also, like, when you see someone else enjoying the same thing as you, you get an amount of serotonin.
Yeah, yeah.
And you get a buzz because you feel like you're part of something bigger.
I'm also thinking about, obviously I want to talk about your work, but I'm also thinking about generally the way music is across all of our life experiences. It's there when we get married, it's there at a funeral, it's there at a birthday party, it's there. So it sort of punctuates life events in a way that other art forms, again, do not do. And actually, the more you think about that, you go, God, there is a real music is just huge. It can be there for your really sad moments, but can be there also for your extreme highs, can't it?
Yeah, it's everything. I think. I think as a writer as well, I started off writing for the sake of making myself better mentally.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of ability that it grants you is very special. Yeah, and I think also what it's shown in the way it punctuates things is you get better. Your songs sort of start to lose that extreme heaviness about them, and they start to lighten up as your mental health improves and things. And then sometimes you dip and you write something depressing, but still you're quite proud of, and lift up again, And I think it's as well as that relationship of consuming. As a writer, you really do. I think a writer is the person closest to their songs, so their music is their journal, and when they look back on the songs they've recorded or they've written, they really come to understand themselves better. And often I'll write a song, I'll look at it and I'll write it down, and I'll go, "What the hell is this? What does this mean?" And I'll learn it, and I won't play it for ages, and then a year later I go, "Oh, I got it! I know what I was thinking back then. It all makes sense."
So let's talk about your process or your songwriting first of all. So, or the lyrics come first, I assume, when you create a song, or do they? How does it work?
It's always guitar riff first.
Okay.
I struggle to write anything on from lyrics because I need that rhythm to write to. Okay. So and that ability to word my. I mean, I don't do it cognitively, like I do it just by feel, but word my what's it called? I've forgotten now. But like word it around the rhythm and get the rhyme in and get the melody in, and then I can write the words around that.
And are your obviously people that have never heard your music, and I hope they will after this discussion, give us a sort of flavour of the songs you are writing. Obviously, you're a folk influence, but also lived experience, and your personal story, and just give us a flavour of the sort of. Have you got a favourite? Got a favourite sentence or line or something from one of your songs that could sum up I've got
What
to be
one should
quite.
I use?
I'll put you on the spot there, but
I am quite proud of my lyrics. Can't lie. So I'll give it a quick think. Um, yeah, I'll give you a chorus. I'll word you a chorus out.
okay, yeah.
And I ain't got it now, I said. And from my window she dropped her mouth, and her tears fell from the seventh floor, and her golden hair came out. So that's the sort of stuff I write.
Yeah.
That's a song called Lady of June. Yeah, but then there's also like I think lyrics don't have to. As an artist, it's very easy to sort of stick to the same pattern. And I also write songs which is like, oh, Mr. Travelman, you've been wandering so long, and yes, old Travelman, you sing a song for the song about 16 times in one song just because it's catchy, you know.
Yeah.
So I
That's,
don't think I don't think
that's the one I know the most.
yeah, everyone knows that one. Everyone knows that one. I think I peaked too early.
You've got to come up with a second hit now.
I know.
So I mean, you're obviously when we all write, there's an element of autobiography in there, regardless of what I believe anyway. You know, even if we were writing fiction, I think there'd be an element of our own experiences in there. But to what extent are your own experiences in your work? Is it quite clear throughout, or how what
It's
are
clear
the
to
stories
me.
you're telling?
It's very clear to me. I think some songs I'll write very plainly, and I'll tell you everything. And some songs I find myself writing them and I don't say anything at all. Or I hide it under like layers of stuff, and you have to find your own meaning, and maybe you'll dig out mine. Yeah, I think that's the answer for that one. It's just it depends.
And do you have to be in a? I mean, when I did my one-man show about my lived experience, I had to be in the right place in my head to be able to confront any of that material.
Yeah.
Can you just whack a few lines down whenever, or do you have to be in a headspace to be able to think about that?
My ethos for writing songs is only write them when you have them. Don't force it. So if I'm on the bus and I get something to play on the guitar, I'll hope that I have it when I'm home. But if I'm home and I don't have it, I don't worry about it. If I'm at home and it comes, then obviously I pick up my guitar and I play it, and then I see how it goes. But I never try and force songs out. So I only really do it when I've got something to start off a song. That makes sense. And I think within that, then when I feel ready to tackle something that might have happened or write about something, that comes into the right time, right place sort of thing for getting a song, getting it good.
So let's talk about performing now. I mean, you said you've performed for the last 4 years? Did you say? Sort of
3 years.
3 years. How do you? How was that? How was it? How do you find the performing of your own material? You know, is it easier? Is it getting easier? Is it always obviously we have a certain element of nerves. I think nervous energy is good. It's a good sort of boost of gives us the confidence. But are you? How is that experience for you of performing your own material?
I struggle to say no about performing. I really, really love it. I think performing started off as a need for gratification for my head.
Okay.
I didn't really have it much, and I felt very low about myself. So I was told by friends that I sent demos that I was good. And I was like, okay, maybe I should try. I went to an open mic and nearly pissed myself, weed myself on stage. And then I kept playing, and I was a nervous wreck most of the time, and I overdid the performance. But I was doing something that I knew was good for me, and I had a desperate drive to do, and I kept doing it. And then slowly but surely, I think I released Please, my first album. I did the gig there, and it was the first time I performed to an audience at a sold-out venue. And I performed to an audience, and they were like, "You know what?" And they were responsive, and like incredibly responsive, and they kept asking for encores. And it was there when I realised that actually the performance is something more than just getting up on stage and telling them. it's taking them through that emotional thing. And that, but even then, it was just clicking just a little what I was doing. And I think then I did that tour, and I learned a lot about myself and about how I view music and my perspective on the career side of it.
Mm.
And I booked another one, which we did last summer. And it was there when I really started to think about the performance and providing the audience with not just the songs, but a interactive thing to make the gig special. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just like there's a difference between sitting down, listening on Spotify to a live album,
Mm-hmm.
and then actually being in that room.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make them feel like I was there with them, and that was lovely. And that sort of moved through, and I got better at talking in between songs.
Mm.
And then we played the O2 Academy in February, and I said to my band in the rehearsal, okay, we're going to make a show, not just like a performance or a recital, but it's going to be a show. We're going to be expressive with ourselves. We're going to make jokes. We're going to have a laugh. We're going to introduce the band, you know, and we're going to really give people £7 worth of ticket, and they can enjoy themselves, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's the sort of progression it's gone. It's gone from just performing for myself to starting to perform for the audience and for myself as well, to make a really engaging live show.
And I think that you know, I mean, you started performing when you were 16, then, didn't you? Yeah. And actually, you know, you've sort of grown up with that journey, haven't you? Quite literally, you know, with that sort of, and actually now starting to think about you are now more comfortable with the work you're making and the songs you're writing, and that led you on to maybe think about sort of audience experience and the way you're engaging with your fans, if you will. I'm interested in talking in between songs. Do you think that's a really important part of an experience?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the artist, I've certainly did it, and I did it with this Kevin Morby guy. You can put an artist on a pedestal, and you can look up to them like they're a god, because they are making music and they have a following, however large or small. And one of the most incredible things is for them to bring themselves down to your level in your perception, and engage and talk with you and make jokes and show that you are a person to them. And they leave feeling like if people leave the gig and feel like they've made a friend, it probably means they'll listen more, because they trust what's being said. And I think it's really important to talk between your songs. And I think it's really, I don't think it's necessary, and I think artists can get away with it and still have successful careers. But I think it's a really nice thing that I enjoy doing, at least, is making a connection with people and just sort of communicating with the audience. And if I get heckled a couple of times, then it's all right, because at least I know that one or two people aren't enjoying it.
And I'm thinking about the title of this discussion. I think you called it "From Struggling to Thriving."
Yeah.
And do you think that is a good representation of when you first started performing to where you are now?
Yeah, I think so. I think it went from that deep sort of pain that I was feeling around that point with myself, and it's that drive, that almost depression drove through, and has sort of grown into something much more healthy, but much more. But it's just like, it's no longer depression. What I feel generally, it's a sort of contentness, but there's a huge flowering around it of like possibilities and things to do, and that drive has just sped up, you know.
And has it been the music that has been the key to that sort of?
Yeah, I think the music is the center of it. It's the core. It's the fact that there are these songs people enjoy. That makes me really happy, and I can perform them, and that performance adds just to the whole thing. And I can make things and do things with really good people who are my friends. And yeah, I think that's the sort of way it comes around.
Do you agree? You might not, but I'm obviously thinking again about my own experience of performing and telling a story, and the fact that, you know, for my own mental health, the process of creating my show was cathartic and therapeutic because I was able to control what I told an audience. Do you feel that that's, you know, you are able to create an identity for yourself as a musician that you are solely in control of, because you're able to sort of perform the way you want to, write the way you want to, create music the way you want to? I don't know if that is a similar.
I think the reason I want it to remain a solo thing and I write the songs is because, yeah, it's a very personal project.
Yeah.
I think the Leon C character is something I'm working on and coming to understand. I don't think I think part of me wants it to be like David Bowie, you know, and David Bowie had all his different characters, and I think it will follow that sort of pattern as it goes on. And I've got ideas for a character right now that I'm working on. But I think I think I always want to be anchored down to the music and me, and the music like is direct, like people know that it is directly me. It's just these characters are a different phase across my life, and like, yeah, a different character in my living, because as we grow up we change, and, you know, we become different people with different characteristics. So I think certainly there is a level of control there, but again, I think keeping it solo and being the sole songwriter really means an ability to dial into yourself and pull out the deeper stuff in you, because when you write with someone else, especially lyrically for me, and melodically, I think I can get a bit scared to dig deep into topics. You know, there's going to be conflict about things. You know, when I sit down to write with a friend, I don't write about politics because it's it's a bit harsh. And what if they disagree with a line I come up with? You know, and then you don't want to have a debate when you're songwriting. You know, so at least I don't. So yeah, I think that personal thing is really nice because it allows that.
What would you ever, or how would you feel if someone said, "Oh, Leon, can I perform one of your songs?"
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, Ed Sheeran said that once you put a song out, it's out for everyone to use and see. A song is, as well as a song being written for me, it's written for people to enjoy. And if you enjoy it by playing it, then you should play it.
Great. We've got 3 minutes left. That's gone quick. Let's sort of talk about maybe a sort of messages of positivity and hope. I'm thinking sort of if you had to give advice to someone that was maybe going, oh, do you know what? I think I can write. I think I'm quite good at that, but I don't know where to get started. Or I'm quite good at. I can play the piano a bit, and I've got an idea in my head for some songs, and I really want to test them out. You know, is it going to be? I think that could be good for me, but I don't know where to begin. What would you say?
I'd say that the open mic community is a funky one, but also a very welcoming one, and you should go and play, and you should see how it makes you feel and if you enjoy it. And I'd also say don't put too much pressure on yourself to achieve. The drive should be there naturally, and if the drive is there, then you will go for it because you know it's there. And don't overthink. Be honest with yourself. You know, we can all say that we want to put 100 hours into a record and spend £600 pushing it or whatever, you know. But if we have the time or the emotional energy to go for it, it all depends what's in there. So just follow your heart, follow what your gut tells you, and that'll put you in the best place possible. Great.
And the last thing, do you want to give audiences that may not have watched your set yet, do you want to just talk them through what they're going to see at All in the Mind Festival online this year from you?
They're going to see me, my drummer, my Southampton bassist, and Alex Clark, the saxophonist. Well, their all names John Green and Sam Richardson, and we're going to be playing sort of a 6 or 7 song set, yet to be recorded at this point, of my songs, and you'll see us dressed up in nice suits. Maybe someone will have sunglasses on, and we'll just have a nice time.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, that's sort of 1 minute 30 left, Leon. But if is there anything else you would want to say, or
Yeah. It's a journey, and take it step by step. And if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, eventually you'll do just fine.
great, lovely message at the end. Brilliant. Thank you, Leon, for joining me in the virtual tent of ideas, All in the Mind online. I wish you all the best for your performance with us, but also in the future. Thank you for joining us.
Cheers. Thank you, Lee.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.